and I'm grateful that you could travel all the way to Chennai. So thank you so much and welcome. I'm going to begin this conversation with your recent political tour. You have just returned from a rather grueling tour of Baramati. Before that, you were in Zahirabad parliamentary constituency in Telangana. Baramati is a bastion of Sharad Pawar. Telangana has complete dominance of KCR. What is giving you and your party that confidence that bastions of stalwarts can be breached?
First, let me thank the audience for being here and giving me the opportunity, CNN. And I'll start with a little bit of a banter, if you'll permit that. I thought this is South Conclave, and I'm being asked about Baramati. Maria, that's a very interesting question, but it is a fact that BJP, when it comes to elections, takes the business seriously. But my visit to Baramati was not so much for the election, it was more for strengthening my party in the ground. And which is what was the visit for in Zahirabad as well. And after all, Zahirabad is part of, once upon a time, United Andhra Pradesh, where I had spent a lot of time working.
Ma'am, BJP is in an expansionist mode. You have already identified catchment areas for 2024. While you have managed to make inroads in most states of southern India, as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, it remains a difficult terrain. Do you think people here will experiment only with Dravidian parties, and as far as BJP is concerned, they'll have to wait?
Well, not just Tamil Nadu, even Kerala, BJP is working to serve the people of Kerala. As it is, they also have in the ground a lot of well-oiled party which serves there. And Tamil Nadu also, especially now, I see a lot more energy in taking up people-related issues. And of course, there will be a time as you go along when BJP will be able to capture the imagination of the people.
Southern states often argue, and they are arguing that perhaps more now, that they are being taxed more for their prosperity. That in the last few years, in the India story, they have contributed most, and that they have outperformed other states, particularly in northern India, on multiple parameters, be it economic opportunities, health, education. As the finance minister and someone who comes from this part, what are your thoughts?
Well, development happens faster in some states which have had a history of that kind of access to education, access to policy driven towards industrialization, and also where people are already exposed to a lot more, multiplicity, cosmopolitanism, and also English education. That way, Tamil Nadu has had the advantage because of being partly very actively under the British rule through the presidency, having had a lot of exposure to English education. So that is one thing. And second, because of the topography of Tamil Nadu, there was this very clear understanding of different governments over the decades that industrialization is a very important thing. And so, since I would think 1960s, there's been a lot of emphasis on getting industries and investing for industries. And in spite of rural lives still intact in some parts of Tamil Nadu, it's majorly an urbanized state. So you have, and also the advantage of having seaports has given Tamil Nadu that kind of advantage. And people are very entrepreneurial. So there's no denying that all these factors together have given Tamil Nadu that advantage, that with the challenges, agriculture flourished somewhat, challenges grew more, but in the meanwhile, manufacturing came in, small and medium industries had that entrepreneurial spirit, and therefore the contribution of agriculture, even if it came down at some part in time, industry made up for it. And subsequently, because of the IT revolution, service sector also has come in. As a result, you find the state keeping pace with the industrialization. now with IT revolution into the tertiary sector as well. So as a result, obviously the state will be one of those lead states because of the grounding it has had in industrialization. But as regards this question about we are giving you more revenue, you, me itself tells you that the narrative is going on not a desirable route. Because if every state thinks that I am giving so much, I should get so much, it's just not going to work out. I've said this before, if within Tamil Nadu you see the region which gives more revenue and those regions which don't give you that revenue, would you then justify that region which gives you more revenue saying, hey, spend it all here, man, don't take it to the other parts which are underdeveloped? Will it work? But I understand the frustration because repeatedly you're performing better. You, meaning many other states, are also performing. I belong to the state. I also see how, rapidly a lot of things are improving. But that itself cannot justify asking that much of proportion of income. Actually, sometimes you probably get more in some planned period earlier, and now under the Niti Ayogs, not so much which dispenses like planning commission monies. You have projects coming much more in some areas in Tamil Nadu, which probably doesn't go to Bihar from where you are. So would you then say, no, Bihar, we don't need any money because we don't generate that much revenue, let it all go to Tamil Nadu? Will a country prosper if we constantly draw this kind of artificial line? Then in Tamil Nadu, if I understand it right, only Coimbatore should get it. The rest of the areas cannot get anything. That's a very convoluted argument to say, I am giving so much, you give me this much. It's no transactional relationship. We are all part of this country. We are all part of the entire system which has to improve this country and pull it along for a greater level of development.
Ma'am, Tamil Nadu, for instance, since you're talking about it, they are arguing that...
actually I should have said all this in Tamil.
You can say it.
No, this particular answer should have been in Tamil. I'm sure many... your new recruit, Karthikeya Selvan, should do this in Tamil now. Enna Karthikeya, புரிஞ்சிச்சா நான் சொன்னதெல்லாம்? நீங்க தமிழ்ல எடுத்து சொல்லணும் இத.
Ma'am, Tamil Nadu, for instance, argues that its share in the national population is 6.21%, while its share in the GDP is 9.16%. Despite that, the state gets only 4.079% as devolution from central taxes. And in successive finance commissions, the share of the state has only decreased. The argument is that how will they fulfill their social responsibilities if the GST that they are dependent on, which is essentially the central funds, gets limited?
See, this narrative has been on for now at least 3 finance commission terms. And the state has repeatedly reminded, and many states in the south, Kerala onwards, have this as a very valid question to ask. Are we being punished for a very effective population, not a control, but population coming down, and probably the reproductive rate is now almost going to be negative. So are we being punished in the sense that you don't have enough number of people, so we will give you only that much, whereas states which have greater population, density of population higher, get more? This has been in 3 finance commission discussed. And if I know right, from the previous one, Y.V. Reddy Commission onwards, and this one, N.K. Singh Commission, there have been corrections made to it in the sense some kind of a making up for it, which may or may not be adequate. But the fact that the Finance Commission took the route of trying to amend it or to make up for it in some level, itself proves that there is a recognition of the problem. And because there is a recognition, there are ways in which they are trying to make up for it. The issue is live, the issue is constant, the issue is remaining even now. What would be adequate is very difficult to determine, I would think. Because if you just look at population per se and say give a deflator for those, or give a, offset for those who are densely populated as opposed to Tamil Nadu or as opposed to Kerala, these formulations can be contentious. But Finance Commission is quite seized of it, and they are probably addressing it not to the proportion of expectation, but somewhat.
So, ma'am, in general, when we look at the criticism that has come in, most of the finance ministers of this part have been critical of the GST model. They are almost saying that this game-changing model that we keep talking about has flaws and it has biases.
I'm very tempted to say something which I wouldn't normally say. I do not know if it is just a political narrative which is being thrown. I'm putting it back to you. GST Council, prior to the council was formed, had an empowered group of ministers who actually worked into the details of it and came up with a framework. Who was the pioneering champion of it? Asim Das Gupta, Communist Party man, West Bengal's former finance minister. He spent a lot of time working together with other finance ministers in the GST Council, now the GST Council, but the one before it, the Empowered Ministers Group, always was headed by a finance minister from an opposition-ruled party. Party in the center, opposition party to the center, the finance minister of that party would be the chair of the empowered group of ministers who actually worked into the nitty-gritty of GST much before the council was formed. Council was formed subsequent to the act got passed in the parliament. Asim Das Gupta is no BJP man. Asim Das Gupta is no right-winger. Do you think he would have come up with something which is going to be, I don't know what words I use to describe it, faulty, this, that? That's one argument. Another, it's an institution. For the first time after 1947 in India, a federal institution, constitutionally approved, is formed, and it is working for now 5-6 years. And in India, where 75 years we have worked with institutions and we still think we need to do some amendments. Just after 5 years, we think, oh God, this is so faulty, just throw it in the bin, I have a better solution to come up with. I think all of us should think about what's actually happening. And inside the council, to be fair to every member meaning finance minister from different states, we will discuss at length. And prior to us discussing at length in the council, the officials discuss in their own committees. And only then does it come to the council, and the council again thinks about whatever has been put forth by the committees, threadbare, and then we take a call. Now, if after that you still have ideas to improve it, very welcome. But dumping it and saying, I have a better proposition, sorry, we'll try it, but I'm not sure if that's the way to go about it. Institution building does take time. It's a painful job. All of us will have to contribute to it. To trash it is absolutely easy. Many a times people who have agreed inside the council come out and speak completely against their own decision, which I can understand. Politics takes different colors, different shapes, different opportunities, different times. But inside they've agreed. Every time, and even I must give it to the credit of the council, even during the pandemic, when borrowing at a big level had to be done, to arrive at that decision, it was a tremendous lot of sitting through hours on end and talking. No, this is no good. No, bring it this way, bring it that way. But it had all worked out. So it's all right. Some of us probably will have a greater level of patience, and a few others are probably not so patient enough, but institutions need patience.
Cooperative federalism was supposed to be the glue between the center and states, but we are seeing several states, largely ruled by opposition, have frequent run-ins with the center. There has been also a withdrawal of the consent to the CBI. There has been opposition to several legislation of the center as well. Where is it all heading? Do you think there is a need to revisit the concept of cooperative federalism, the role of various stakeholders here?
No, revisiting any idea I am not against. Very welcome to revisit. What is it that which is painful now that a revisit will have to happen in the light of the consultations which are happening with the center and the states? Even during the pandemic, the Prime Minister, probably via video conference, has held periodically consultations with the chief ministers and taken on board. And you know how those video conferences, even as they were happening, were being leaked out through telephones. In spite of all that, consultations have happened. Do revisit, no objection to it. But you also are probably letting in a little fact which can be a bias, which justifies me to think that this voice against the so-called existing cooperative federalism you are indicating is essentially the opposition's voice. I will not allow CBI to come into my state. All right, your choice. But zero tolerance to corruption is not going to allow agencies to say, no, CBI is not being welcomed, so I can't step into the state. There are other agencies which are anyway going to come. Corruption cannot become a contention when cooperative federalism is a matter of discussion. In a way, it gives me the feeling that in the name of cooperative federalism, if people are telling us we don't want CBI to come, it means they are justifying corruption. They don't want it to come out. Simple as that. You just see. And you're also repeatedly saying opposition states, opposition states. Why should only opposition states? If that's the case, center and state. You can also have other NDA allies saying, no, we don't want. That doesn't happen. And it's not as if law enforcement agencies are not taking action against ruling party and their allies. So this is a bogey which political parties want to keep the public constantly misled by. Nothing else.
I'm going to move towards a very politically contentious issue, and you have recently said that when you were in college here, there were violent protests happening against Hindi in Tamil Nadu, and the students who were opting for, say, Hindi or Sanskrit, they were not eligible for scholarships by the government. A lot has changed since then.
Has it?
I'm asking you.
Very difficult to believe.
Then how do you view this entire language debate?
What I said, I stand by what I said. I'll repeat it any number of times. I think it's one thing to believe in an ideology and say, look, we don't want any other language, but a totally different thing to deny individuals their right to learn what they want. ஒரு தனி நபருடைய அதிகாரத்தை பறிக்கிறதுக்கு யாருக்கும் உரிமை இல்லை, என்ன கொள்கையா இருந்தாலும். நான் சொன்னது நிஜம், நான் அனுபவிச்சது நிஜம், அந்த அனுபவிச்சதான் நான் எடுத்து சொன்னேன். நான் படிச்சுட்டு இருந்த காலத்துல ஹிந்தியோ சம்ஸ்கிருதமோ படிக்கிறதுக்கு நீங்க முயற்சி பண்ணீங்கன்னா டெஃபினட்டா உங்களை நானா விதத்துல உங்களுக்கு கிரிட்டிசிசம் வரும். தெருவில் நடக்கும் போதே கண்டபடிக்கு கீழ்த்தரமா பேசினதெல்லாம் என் காதல் நல்லா இன்னைக்கும் ஒலிக்குது. Innikum, and let me say this in English, Maria, because your question asked that. Scholarships are denied to students who learn Hindi and Sanskrit. Even today, I challenge. நான் தப்பு சொல்றேன்னா நீங்க யாரோ ஒருத்தர் எழுந்து உடனே அம்மா வாய மூடு தப்பு சொல்றேன் நீ சொல்லுங்க. இன்னைக்கும் தமிழ் தவிர சன்ஸ்கிருட்டோ இல்ல ஹிந்தியோ படிக்கிற பிள்ளைங்களுக்கு ஸ்டேட் லெவல் ரேங்கிங்ல முதலாவதோ ரெண்டாவதோ மூணாவதோ அஞ்சாவதோ 10வது ரேங்க் வந்தா கூட இங்க ஸ்டேட் மூலமா கிடைக்கூட ஃபெலோஷிப் ஸ்காலர்ஷிப் அவங்களுக்கு கிடைக்குதா இல்லையா? கிடைக்கல. இன்னைக்கும் கொடுக்கறது இல்ல. They don't give it if incidentally your second language is Sanskrit or Hindi, but you turn out to be the topper, and the state has a scheme by which the top 10 ranking students will be 10 or 15 or 20, I don't know, but the top ranking students will be given some kind of a scholarship to study. Now, in what way and what right does the state have to say one of the Indian language which the student studies, which is not probably Tamil, will not be treated as equal to the student who is learning Tamil? இது என்ன விதத்துல பேதபாவம்? இது எந்த விதத்துல ஜஸ்டிஃபையபிள்? ஏன் அந்த தம்பி நாளைக்கு உலகத்திலேயே பெரிய ஒரு கம்பெனிக்கு சிஇஓ ஆனான்னா அவங்கள நீங்க ஏத்துக்க மாட்டீங்களா? தமிழ் படிங்கன்னு ஊக்குவிப்பது ஒண்ணு. நீ இன்னொரு பாஷை படிச்சேன்னா பாரு உன்னை வெட்டி போடுவேன், கொலை பண்ணிடுவேன், நீ அந்த ஸ்கூலுக்கு போன எரிச்சு போடுவேன்னு பேசுறது நாகரிகம் இல்லாத ஒரு தன்மை. தமிழ்நாடு நாகரிகத்தோடு இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு ஸ்டேட். இந்த அராஜகமான பாஷை வர்றது ரொம்ப தப்பு. ஒரு தனிமத மனிதனை நீங்க நிறுத்துறது தப்பு. அது என்ன கொள்கைன்னு சொன்னாலும் சரி, ஜஸ்டிஸ் பார்ட்டிலேருந்து வந்துச்சு, இன்னைக்கு டிராவிடியன் மாடல்ல அது பார்ட்டு அப்படின்னா, நான் ஒன்னே ஒன்று சொல்ல விரும்புறேன். அந்த ஜஸ்டிஸ் பார்ட்டிலேருந்து வந்துச்சுன்னா அதே ஜஸ்டிஸ் பார்ட்டி தான் சர்ச்சில் நம்ம நாட்டை விட்டு 47 போன போது சொன்ன வார்த்தையை சொன்னாங்க. என்ன? வெள்ளையனே நீ போயிடாத எங்க ஊரை விட்டு, நீ தான் நல்லாட்சி கொடுப்ப சொன்னது. வெள்ளையனை போக விடாம நீங்க இங்கேயே இருங்க தம்பின்னு சொன்னது. இன்னைக்கு அந்த வெள்ளையனோட நாட்டையே கீழே தள்ளிட்டு நம்ம 5வது லெவலுக்கு வந்திருக்கோம். 75 வருஷத்துல இந்தியா சுதந்திரம் அடைஞ்சு 75வது வருஷத்துல நம்ம 5th ரேங்க்ல வந்திருக்கிறது. யூகேயை கீழே தள்ளிட்டு, எந்த யூகே சர்ச்சில் மூலமா நம்மளை விட்டு போகும்போது இன்னும் 10 வருஷத்துக்குள்ள இவங்க என்ன மாதிரி செதறி போயிடுவாங்கன்னு பாருங்கன்னு சொல்லிட்டு போனார் அந்த சர்ச்சில். ஜஸ்டிஸ் பார்ட்டியில் இருந்தவங்களும் அதே தான் சொன்னாங்க, நீங்க போயிடாதீங்க, நீங்க தான் எங்களுக்கு நல்லாட்சி கொடுப்பீங்க. அதனால ஜஸ்டிஸ் பார்ட்டியிலேருந்து வருது கொள்கை. இன்னைக்கு திராவிடன் மாடலுக்கு அதுதான். அதை வச்சுட்டு நாங்க சொல்றோம் ஹிந்தி இங்க வரக்கூடாது. தப்புங்க. தனி மனிதன் உரிமை கோசம் நம்ம எப்போதும் பேசிட்டே இருக்கோம் இல்லைங்க. இது என்ன ஆயிடுச்சு? என் உரிமை, என்ன மாதிரி இருக்கக்கூடிய இன்னும் 10 பேர் உரிமை போயிடுச்சா? என் தமிழ் பற்றோ டெல்லியில நின்றுகிட்ட தமிழ் பேசுறதோ ஒன்றும் குறையில்லைங்க.